Lin is actually sleeping in his little boat in the middle of the sea when a ship suddenly crashes into him out of nowhere. He gets pissed and goes aboard the ship. He starts to rant, but the captain of the ship, instead of apologizing, demands compensation from him for tarnishing his ship. He protests against this, and Captain Tang decides to throw him off the board if he refuses to pay. He sends some of his guards to throw him off, but they find it difficult to do. They discover that he is very strong. He flings them off the board, and another set of guards attempts to throw him off. A well-respected and powerful man named Mr. Lu intervenes and supports Lin. He stands next to him, while accusing the captain of being at fault. Lin is then welcomed aboard and attended to. However, as Mr. Lu takes his leave, Lin Sui sees a demonic trace around him, and wonders why he has that aura around him. Meanwhile, Mr. Lu's son is gravely ill with no medical cure. Mr. Lu heads to the canteen to get food for his sick son, and he sees chaos happening there. He sees Lin Shu being harassed for stealing and eating some food from the kitchen. Then he volunteers to pay for him. He buys some food for his son and attempts to leave when Lin Sui walks up to him to thank him for helping him twice and asks how he can help him too. Mr. Lu tells him not to worry, but since Lin Sui insists, he asks him how he plans to help him. He becomes shocked when Lin Sui tells him that he doesn't know his exact predicament, but knows that it can't be solved with normal means. He wonders how Lin Sui knows that something strange is happening around him and considers that he might be able to cure his son. He decides to trust him and takes him to the room where his son is. On getting to the room, the doctor attending to the son doubts that Lin Sui can cure him since he couldn't cure him. However, Lin Sui observes the sick boy and discovers it's a demonic spell, so he slaps him immediately. The boy coughs out some substance and gets relieved of his pain. The doctor starts to wonder how this is even possible, having tried all the medical procedures he knows but failed. Lin Sui tells him that it is the Tao slap of divinity passed down across generations. He, however, tells him that the child is not yet cured but has just stabilized. Mr. Lu offers to give him anything in exchange for curing his son, and Lin Sui tells him that they should discuss it when they reach the metro urban city of Binhai, as there are many eyes and ears on the ship. Mr. Lu takes him into his cabin, and they start to discuss. When Lin Sui soon discovers that the orphanage he grew up in has been demolished and shut down after Dean died in an accident, it makes him sad. When they arrive at the metro city of Binhai, Lin Sui leaves to go and settle some personal stuff first before he returns to treat Mr. Lu's son. He heads to Dean's mother's grave to pay homage to her and tell her he is back home from the Divinity Island she once told him about, where he met a Grand Master who cured him of his disease. While he does this, he notices a guy disturbing a girl, asking her to be his girlfriend. The girl sees him and runs toward him to greet him. He discovers that she is someone he knows, So Tong. The guy thinks Lin Sui is the guy she has been saying she likes and starts to trash talk him. However, Lin Sui insults him in return. He gets angry and threatens to kill him, but Lin Sui slaps him and flicks paint on him, telling him never to lay his hands on Shou Tong again. Shou Tong tries to warn him that the guy is influential and very rich, but Lin Sui doesn't care. After the guy leaves, Shou Tong asks him where he has been for 5 years, and he tells her that he was on the magical island the Dean's mother used to talk about in her stories. But she doesn't believe him. She then takes him to the grandpa and grandma who adopted her after the orphanage was demolished. On getting home, they meet Uncle Sundin ranting about her and what happened to the guy that was pursuing her. He happens to be working for the guy's family. Lin Sui and Shou Tong enter the room, and Sunbin gets angrier when he sees them. Grandpa's son tries to calm him, but he insults him and leaves the room. Shou Tong introduces Lin Sui to Grandpa's son and Grandma's son, and they warmly welcome him to their home. Meanwhile, someone calls Master Chang, the guy's father, to report that the kid is there and asks if they should get thugs to beat him up. However, Master Chang tells him that he can't deal with the kid yet since he has to attend a party that their chairman and major shareholder are holding to celebrate his son's recovery from a severe disease. It's been rumored that he was cured by some miracle doctor, but Master Chang doubts it and thinks it's an exaggeration. However, he tells someone to keep monitoring Lin Sui. Lin Sui receives a call from Mr. Lu asking if he would come to the party he is hosting. Lin Sui agrees, and Mr. Lu arranges for someone to come and pick him up. Lin Sui decides to take Shou Tong along, and a limousine soon appears to take them. Shou Tong is very surprised and wonders who Lin Sui is. They soon arrive at the venue of the party. Meanwhile, Sundin and his boss's son, Chang Fei, the guy after Shou Tong, are both present at the party. Lin Sui tells Sun Bing to help him with Shou Tong and also deal with the boy that embarrassed him. Sun Bing reassures him that he would do something about it. Suddenly, they see Lin Sui and Shou Tong and begin to wonder how they managed to enter the party. Chang Jiang Fei decides to humiliate Lin Sui in return for what he did. He wants to show him the difference in their social status. So he calls the security's attention to the presence of an intruder at the party. He orders the security to kick them out, but they should first beat Lin Sui up. Mr. Lu's driver, named Old Blood, the man that brought them in the limousine, tries to intervene, telling them that they are Mr. Lu's guests. But Chang Jiang Fei doesn't listen and tells them to carry on anyway. Old Blood warns him further, but he turns a deaf ear. Meanwhile, Old Blood already received an instruction from his boss not to allow Lin Sui to act for himself, so he decides to play crudely. He offers to pay the security a huge amount of money if they beat Chang Fei instead. On hearing this, the security rush at Chang Fei and start beating him. Sun Bing tells Old Blood that he won't escape from what he has just done, but Old Blood tells him not to interfere with his affairs. Master Chang suddenly arrives and orders the security to stop beating his son. He then decides to join in the game too, since the driver offered to pay a huge amount. He offers a bigger amount if the security would break their legs. One of the security men accepts the offer and attempts to hurt Old Blood, but Lin Sui quickly intervenes and kicks him away. He tells him that he is not someone they would want to mess with. Mr. Lu, the host of the party, quickly stops them and starts to ask if Lin Sui is okay. Master Chang becomes surprised and wonders why Mr. Lu is concerned about him. Everyone is shocked that the chairman is defending the kid. Mr. Lu then tells Master Chang to tell his son to apologize to Lin Sui. Chang Jiang Fei protests against it, but his father soon tells him to apologize anyway. When Mr. Lu introduces Lin Sui as the miracle doctor who cured his son, everyone is shocked, but Chang Fei is determined to repay him for what he did to him. Mr. Lu continues to apologize for the whole situation and later takes Lin Sui to his son so he would completely cure him, as he promised. Lin Sui tells Mr. Lu that what's affecting his son is not a sickness but rather a curse. He then asks him if he recently offended someone, as they would need to find the person who placed the curse if they must get to the root of the cause of the problem. Mr. Lu tells him about the Fusion Group, whom they are competing with. The group has amassed a huge revenue and is now worth billions of dollars in just 2 years of operations. Lin Sui thinks that such growth is abnormal and the company could be using some sort of evil method to gain more business. He tells him that if they had not met him, the condition of his son could have worsened, and the Fusion president would have made demands in exchange for his son's life. He assures Mr. Lu not to worry about the curse as he has stopped its method of invasion, which should eradicate the symptoms. An evil wizard named Old Ghost goes to visit Zongjiang at his residence to tell him that Mr. Lu has found someone to cure his son. He advises him to forget the piece of land they are fighting for since it's just a piece of land anyway. But Zongjiang refuses and threatens to go back on his promise to Old Ghost if he doesn't do what's required. Old Ghost leaves in anger. Meanwhile, Lin Sui and Mr. Lu have been waiting for some hours, expecting that they will come and attack his son. Suddenly, Lin Sui perceives that the person has arrived. Old Ghost attacks with his evil ghost from outside, but Lin Sui counters it with his powers. The Old Ghost realizes that he is against a strong practitioner who has entered a realm above him and wonders who it is. He tries to escape, but Lin Sui doesn't allow him. Old Ghost is shocked to discover that he is just a kid and reasons that he must be a hidden sect heir. He starts to plead, saying he was forced by Zongjiang to do it against his will. Lin Sui actually finds this unreasonable since Old Ghost is obviously more powerful, but he tells him that Zongjiang has a more powerful person than himself. He refuses to tell Lin Sui who it is as he fears he might be killed. Lin Sui returns to Mr. Lu and tells him that he has solved the issue, and the evil wizard won't be a problem to his son anymore. After a while, he begins to think of how he has been stuck in the purest stage for the past 3 years and how he needs to break through soon. He needs to find his master's brother, who he was told is living in the city somewhere. Meanwhile, Old Ghost returns to Zongjiang and meets Wan Yan. the powerful person back in Zhongzhou. He reports that Mr. Lu has a powerful person behind him which he couldn't match, and tells him to avenge him. On hearing this, Wang Yan kills him. The next day, Shou Tong wakes Lin Sui very early in the morning as she plans to take him sightseeing around the city. She takes him to a theme park, and as they walk around, she sees one of her classmates named Zhang Ying alongside a guy she calls her boyfriend and goes to greet her. The lady quickly introduces the guy as her boyfriend and tells her that they have to get going as they have other things to attend to. Just to prevent the guy from doing something silly, however, the guy named Blade Ji takes interest in Shou Tong and attempts to touch her. Lin Sui pushes his hand away, which gets him angry, and he tries to lay his hands on him. Lin Sui then punches him, and he falls. He gets angry and seeks to retaliate. Zhong Ying pleads and tries to stop him, but he slaps her and embarrasses her before everyone. Shou Tong, not comfortable with this, tries to defend her, but Lin Sui intervenes and slaps Blade Ji to pay him back for slapping the lady. Lin's men come to rescue and defend him, but Lin Sui moves swiftly and hits him again. He then starts to beat Blade Ji's men one after the other. A 6th-ranked Buddhist monk appears and starts to plead on her behalf, but Lin Sui doesn't listen. He is determined to not let anyone escape. When the Buddhist monk realizes that he won't listen, he tries to attack him, but Lin Sui blocks his attack very easily and pushes him away. The monk then tells the other men to run away quickly. Lin Sui leaves with the two ladies, and the monk talks with Wang Yan about the kid's abilities, warning him that he is not someone he would like to offend. However, Wang Yan confidently says that the kid wouldn't pose any problem to him. Zhang Ying starts to feel sad and upset. She was with Blade Ji because that was her only hope to get money to pay for her sick parents' treatment. Her parents have cancer and would die in a few days if they don't proceed with the chemotherapy treatment quickly. Lin Sui pities her and asks her to take him to the hospital where her parents are to see if they can cure them. She gets angry at him, thinking he was playing with her. But Shou Tong tells her that Lin Sui is very powerful in the medical field and could help cure her parents. Meanwhile, at the hospital, the doctor in charge orders that the cancer patients be taken out of the hospital since they have failed to pay their medical bills. As they attempt to take the patients out, Zhang Ying arrives with Lin Sui and Shou Tong. Lin Sui gets pissed and starts to insult them and requests to see the dumb chief that gave the order. The chief appears and requests that they pay up the medical bills if they want the patients to remain in the hospital. Lin Sui challenges him if he would be able to cure them if they pay up the money, but the chief says it's impossible and can only keep them alive for a few more days. Lin Sui mocks him and says there's no need to pay the bills. Then he later claims that he can cure them. The chief laughs hard when he hears this, but Lin Sui stands by his claim. However, Dr. Chen is being shown around the hospital when he notices the commotion. Zhang Ying runs to meet him and pleads that he should save her parents. Dr. Chen listens to her story and rebukes the chief before asking her to take him to her parents. On getting to their ward, Dr. Chen becomes surprised to see Lin Sui there. Dr. Chen happens to be the doctor that was initially treating Mr. Lu's son. Dr. Chen humbles himself before Lin Sui, and the other doctors are surprised. They are shocked when he reveals that Lin Sui was the miracle doctor who cured Mr. Lu's son. He then asks Lin Sui how he plans to cure stomach cancer, and Lin Sui brings out an acupuncture box. He plans to use advanced acupuncture techniques. A doctor protests against this, but Dr. Chen shuts him up and allows Lin Sui to carry out the procedure. After a while, the patient regains consciousness and starts to show visible progress. They are all surprised. Then, Dr. Chen asks Lin Sui if he accepts disciples. He tells him that his medical techniques cannot be passed, as he has already sworn an oath to his master not to teach anyone else. Dr. Chen feels disappointed and asks him to be an honorary doctor at their hospital, where he will occasionally come and observe what's happening in the hospital. Lin actually tells him that he will think about it. He leaves the hospital with Shou Tong, who takes him to a ramen restaurant for lunch. On getting there, he leaves for the restroom. As he walks along the passage of the restaurant, he sees his 7th-ranked monk, but he walks past him. The man tells him to wait, but he pretends not to hear him and continues walking. The man gets angry and yells at him. Lin Sui decides to wait and listen to him. He introduces himself as Wan Young and says he came to extend his friendship to him on behalf of the Taoist Alliance. Lin's ex-teacher once told him about the Taoist alliance. There are different factions in the cultivation world, and the entire branch is split into 6, of which the Tao alliance is the strongest. Wei Neon warns him not to meddle in things that he can't handle, as he might put himself in trouble. However, Lin Mixwei disregards him and goes back to meet Xiao Tong after eating. Lin Sui tells Xiao Tong that he wants to look into those who adopted their fellow brothers and sisters in the orphanage, as he has been quite worried about how they are doing. The address a police officer gave them, they head to a dilapidated building to look for Zhang Jinji. As they walk around the building in search of him, they see a fat guy being chased by some hoodlums approaching them. They just allow them to pass. Xiao Tong suggests that the guy being chased could be the guy they are looking for, as she observed a mole on his forehead similar to that of Zhang Jinji. Although they knew him to be very skinny. The fat guy reaches a dead end, and the hoodlums catch up with him. They demand the payment of his debts. It happens that his adoptive father was a useless man, and had left him with a lot of debts from drinking before he died. They search his pockets thoroughly but don't find any money on him, so they leave him. Lin Shui appears, and Zhang Jinji is surprised to see him. He thought he was dead. Zhang Jinji takes him and shows him to his apartment secretly so he won't put them in trouble too. Lin Sui asked him how much he is owing, and he says about $100,000. Lin Wei is shocked and asks how much the principal amount is. He then tells Zhang Jinji not to worry about the debt, as he will help him with the payment. Zhang Jinji feels concerned that the amount is huge, but Lin Nishi tells him that he will only be paying the principal amount. He then asks him about some other guys who were also once in the orphanage. As they couldn't get their whereabouts from the police, Zhang Jinji says he doesn't remember much as it's been a long time. But he notices something odd. The day they were all adopted, some bald men in luxurious cars stopped by and picked them up. Lin Nixui thanks him for the information and asks him to take him to his creditors so he can deal with them for good. Half an hour earlier, a guy who was spying on Zhang Jinji goes to report to Oolong that some people are currently in Zhang Jinji's house who they can extort. They immediately head to Zhang Jinji's house. On getting there, Li Ji sees Lin Sui and becomes scared. He wouldn't want to mess with Lin Nixui again. He tries to run away, but Lin Nixui holds him back and tells him that he just wants to discuss his friend's debt. Wang instead rebukes his men and claims that Zhang Jinji already paid all his debts. He apologizes for the intrusion and leaves immediately. Zhang Jinji is surprised and can't believe what just happened. At the club, checking out pretty girls, Zhang has promised to always provide Wang Yun with as many women as he wants while he backs him. In return, Zhang asks him about the matter of Lin Nexui, and he tells him not to worry as it's not above what he can handle. Meanwhile, Lin Nexui and his 2 friends celebrate the reunion. Zhang Jinji is happy that he has been relieved of his debt, and thanks Lin Nexui for helping him. He then tells him that he remembers meeting someone the previous month who he suspects could have been Wang Yang, one of their orphanage friends. He says he met him at the old orphanage site, which has now been turned into a park. He said he is not certain it was him, but it was a monk with a bald head wearing a full Taoism or Buddhism outfit. Xiao Tong disbelieves this as they know Wang Yang to be a pervert who once infiltrated the girls' bathroom when they were young. Lin Nexui and Xiao Tong leave and head to the hotel where he is staying. Meanwhile, someone comes to report to Wang Yang about their target at the hotel. Mr. Liu comes to compensate Lin Mixwei with a debit card containing $1 million for saving his son, and tells him to ask him for more anytime he needs money. Lin Nexui then requests that Mr. Liu help him get into the University of Science, and he replies that they could talk about it later. After a while, he receives a message that Zhang Jinji is being held captive, and should come to Coast Alley Mountain if he wants to save him. He heads there immediately. He takes a taxi, and when the driver discovers where he is heading, he warns him against going there as it's a haunted place with many cases of people who go there getting missing. However, Lin Nexui thanks the driver for his concern and says he can take care of himself. He enters the Valley Mountain area and sees a skull. He wonders if the ghost cultivator is at the same level as him, the purest level, since he can't attack against energy from it. He searches for his friend and soon finds him tied to a tree. He loosens the rope around him and discovers that he is being possessed by a ghost. The ghost attempts to attack him, but he resists it. The ghost comes out of Zhang Jinji and starts to summon other ghosts. Lin Nexri is surprised to see a myriad of soldier ghosts. He then sees a castle nearby and asks them who it belongs to. The angry ghosts are surprised that he is not even scared of them. They came to that valley in search of something good while they were alive but were betrayed by their comrades and allowed to die. Lin Nexri advises them to go for reincarnation instead of hurting harmless people. They tell him that they have tried, but something powerful inside the castle is preventing them. Lin Nexri decides to go and check the castle for them. As he enters the castle, he starts to sense a very strong aura and finds this very strange. After walking around the castle for a while, he sees a frost fire spirit. He feels lucky as absorbing it could greatly increase his abilities and also save the group of soldier spirits. He tries to absorb it, but the frost fire spirit speaks out, begging him not to kill him. Lin Nexri is surprised as he has never seen a frost fire spirit talk before. The spirit tells him that he is a deity and threatens to kill him. However, Lin Nexri doesn't fear and continues the absorption process, which starts to hurt the spirit. It soon starts to plead and suggests that they make a negotiation. The spirit then tells him that he isn't a frost fire spirit but something else entirely, which is complicated to explain. He offers to become his servant as long as he doesn't kill him. Lin Nexri then creates a familiar contract, which is a spell used for binding his servant to his master and putting the servant's life in the hands of his master. The spirit then starts to follow him everywhere. He steps out of the castle, and the soldier spirits salute him in appreciation. He takes Zhang Jinji home and becomes determined to eradicate those who are attempting to kill him. He begins talking with his newfound spirit servant, which he calls Little Ice, and asks him about his abilities. Little Ice tells him that he can detect holy flames from far away, and Lin Nexri sees this as very beneficial to him since he is cultivating the elemental powers of fire and lightning. Mr. Lu knocks on his door and invites him to the auction, which is about to begin. Lin Nexri will also be attending as he has some scores to settle with him. At the auction house, a lady from the provincial city named Bei Menji appears. After a while, Zhongzhong and Wang Yin arrive. Wang Yin gets shocked when he sees Lin Nexri and wonders how he got out of the valley alive. However, he already brought a 5th-rank evil cultivator along to fight him. The evil cultivator named Changji appears and attempts to attack Lin Nexri, but he blocks it easily and goes into the auction house with Mr. Lu. Wang Yin goes to meet He Changmei to ask him if he can beat Lin Nexri. He refuses to continue the job, acknowledging that Lin Nexri is way more powerful than he is. However, he later decides to go on with the job. On entering the auction house, Zhen Jian, one of Zhonghong's men, sees Mr. Lu and bids him to come and sit beside him. But Mr. Lu, knowing what his intention is, refuses and walks past him. Qin Jian discovers that Mr. Lu doesn't have any bodyguards, or maybe he thinks he doesn't. So he decides to go and find trouble for him. As he approaches him, Lin Nexri puts his leg in his path, causing him to trip and fall. He gets angry and starts to rant, but Lin Nexri insults him and kicks his legs, causing him to fall again. He gets angry and calls Ironhead, his bodyguard, to beat Lin Nexri up. However, as Ironhead grabs Lin Nexri and attempts to deal with him, Miss Bei Menji interferes and rebukes Zhongzhang for wanting to assault a kid with a bodyguard. She tells him to stop right away, and he agrees but warns Lin Nexri not to cross his path again. As he tries to leave, he slips and falls again, and Lin Nexri mocks him. He gets angry and tells Miss Bai that he would have to go against her request. He then tells Ironhead to deal with him, and everyone starts to get afraid for Lin Nexri. As Ironhead attempts to kick him, he holds his leg and breaks it very easily. Everyone is surprised by what just happened, and they begin to question Ironhead's strength and consider him fake. Lin grabs Zhongzhang, and he starts to beg while Lin Nexri doesn't listen and goes ahead to break his leg too. Zhongzhang begs Zhongzhang to avenge him, but Wang Yin advises him that it isn't the time to do that. So Zhongzhang tells him to take Zhong to the hospital. The auction soon begins, and the first item is unveiled. Zhongzhang has heard that Mr. Lu made a lot of money from selling antiques, and he is determined to make him lose this time around. They start competing and bidding for higher prices. Zhongzhang is not so interested in antiques but intends to make Mr. Lu spend a lot of money by bidding higher. However, he gets shocked when Mr. Lu hasn't bid any further after he has bid a higher price, costing him a ton of money. The next item gets unveiled, a luxurious box. Little Ice advises Lin Nexri to get it as he can sense something very valuable inside it. Mr. Lu sees that Lin Nexri wants the item and offers to get it for him. He bids, but Zhang Zhang doesn't, so he wins the item. The next item is a piece of land, the major contention between Zhang Zhang and Mr. Lu. The bidding starts at $500 million. Zhang Zhang bids $1 billion, and Mr. Lu bids even higher. Mr. Lu reasons that if he continues at this rate, he would lose all his money, which isn't worth it, so he keeps silent. Suddenly, Miss Bai bids $2 billion, and then it'll get shot. Zhang Zhang regrets falling for Mr. Lu's trap as he could have had extra money to bid for the land. The bid ends with the land going to Miss Bai, and Zhang Zhang leaves immediately. Miss Bai tells her bodyguard Reed to find out who the kid is, but he finds it difficult to read him, which suggests that the kid might be stronger than him. At the parking lot, Zhang Zhang faces Mr. Lu, seeking to make him pay for allowing him to lose the bid on the piece of land. Lin Nexri takes him to another place where they can fight together. Meanwhile, Wan Yun has already set an ambush for him. As Lin Nexri talks with Wan Yun, He Changli suddenly attacks him with a dagger from behind. However, Lin Nexri holds the blade with his bare hands and disintegrates the dagger into nothingness using the power of Little Ice. He Changli begins to beg for his life, saying it was just a job given to him. Wan Yun tries to escape, but Lin Nexri sends Little Ice to kill him. He then tells He Changli to help him kill Zhang Zhang if he wants to live, and he accepts the task. Lin Maxway returns to Mr. Lu and tells him that everything has been settled. Mr. Lu is shocked that Lin Nexri is still alive and wonders where Wan Yun is. After Lin Nexri leaves with Mr. Lu, He Changli appears and kills Zhang Zhang. Xiaotong sees one of her classmates, Wu Lily, at an expensive club while she is waiting for Lin Nexri. Mr. Lu drops Lin Nexri off at the club and tells him that he will send him $5 million more for helping him take care of Zhang Zhang. He goes into the club to meet Xiaotong, and he gets to meet Lily and her boyfriend. Wu Lily, thinking Lin Nexri is her friend's boyfriend, questions him about his background and what he does. However, she is not satisfied with his response, and starts to advise Xiaotong about dating men with power and status. A guy named Yang Fei sees Lin Nexri with Xiaotong, and he barges into the room. He threatens to deal with Lin Nexri, telling him that he cannot beat Xiaotong's boyfriend as he also wants to be her boyfriend. Wu Lily's boyfriend tries to calm him, and he tells him that he shouldn't be embarrassing himself before Xiaotong. He calms down and brings up a drinking contest, stating that whoever wins the girl. Lin Nexri accepts the challenge, and the contest begins. Lin Nexri finishes his drink while Yang Fei finds it difficult to finish his drink, making Lin Nexri the winner. Yang Fei grabs Lin Nexri's clothes and threatens him, but Lin Nexri takes his hands off and almost injures him. But Xiaotong stops him. Wu Lily's boyfriend advises Lin Nexri to avoid getting in trouble with Yang Fei as he has strong backing. But Lin Nexri tells him that he can take care of himself. Meanwhile, Tong and Wu Lily head to the restroom, and on their way, Wu Lily mistakenly breaks an expensive vase. Wilxia, along with his bodyguards, appears and takes them captive for breaking the $200,000 vase. They are taken to Lin Xui and Wu Lily's boyfriend, who demand that they pay the money if they want the girls released. Wu Lily is bailed by her boyfriend. However, when one of the bodyguards starts to manhandle Xiaotong, Lin Xui injures him and pays up the money. Lin Sui then tells Xiaotong that they should get going, but as they try to leave, she stops them and demands another $200,000 to compensate for his injured bodyguard. He changes his mind and demands an even larger amount to compensate for all the damage that has been made. Lin Nexri demands proof of all the bills he has listed, and then one of Silong's men attempts to attack him. Lin Sui blocks his attack and kicks him against the wall. Ilwai begins to admire him. Lin Sui dashes towards Seolong and punches him in the face, knocking him to the ground. Seolong orders all his men to kill him, but Lin Sui beats them all, and they flee. Wu Lily celebrates Lin Sui for winning and breaks up with her boyfriend for being a coward. Lin Sui, and Xiaotong then head out of the club. Lin Sui escorts Xiaotong to her home, and he turns to leave. A car suddenly speeds past him, and he notices that Miss Bai Menji is tied inside the car. She is being kidnapped. Lin Xui immediately stops a taxi and chases after the car. Miss Bad is taken to a certain location. Some men come to meet her, and they attempt to molest her. Storms in. In his bag, he is surprised to see him. The men threaten him, but he beats all of them and frees Miss Bai. Miss Pai is shocked by his strength and wonders if she is stronger than Ri, her bodyguard. Ling Sui torments one of the men and gets him to reveal who sent them. They discover that Shi Gonghe had sent them to kill her. Miss Bai then follows Lin Xui back to his hotel room. Alone together in the hotel room, Lin Sui flirts with Miss Bai and tells her he can't resist her. She gives in to him, but he tells her that he was only teasing her and is not interested in her. He texts Mr. Lu to contact the White family so they can come and get Miss Bai. She is disappointed and knows to take her bath while Lin Nixui steps out to get her some clothes. After a while, Ria barges in, ready to save Miss Bai. Ria, thinking Linux is the culprit, tries to attack him, but he blocks his attack. Miss Bai stops him, telling him it was Linexui who saved him. On hearing this, he apologizes to Linexui and commends his strength. He then tells Lin Xui to come over to the White family if he'd like to work for them. Miss Bai thanks him for saving her again and tells him to make sure to visit her when he comes to the provincial city. On their way back with Ray, she tells him to find Shigongsi and repay him and also find out more about Lin Sui's background as she would like to know him better and become friends with him. Somewhere in the provincial state, someone comes to Deacon John to report the result of Zhang Zheng's autopsy, stating that they found that it was done by the evil sect, as they found traces of evil spirit. Deacon Zhang orders that all evil sect cultivators in the land be uprooted to pay for laying hands on his grandson. Meanwhile, Lin Xui and Xiao Tong arrive in the provincial city. They are welcomed by Xiao Tong's uncle at the railway station, but his wife is quite hostile and doesn't want to see them, thinking they are some poor relatives who came looking for benefits. She leaves in anger and tells her husband not to bring them home. He apologizes for his wife's attitude, and after some time, he takes them to his home. On getting home, Xiao Tong and Lin Sui are given hostile treatment and not allowed to come in. Lin Sui gets pissed that all they respect is money, so he brings out $10,000 and throws it out of the window for the children to run and get it. Since what they want is free money, the children immediately run after the money without shame. Lin Xui then gives Xiao Tong's uncle some money as compensation from Sa Tong and himself, and they leave. Lin Xui tells Xiao Tong that they should head to his grandpa's place to visit him. On getting to his grandpa's place, his grandpa is so glad to discover that his grandson is still alive. He apologizes for what happened to his mother and tells him how much he tried to look for him. Lin Xui tells him that he went to seek medical advice and got saved by a divine doctor. He introduces Xiao Tong to his grandma, and she welcomes her. After a while, the grandpa goes to bed, leaving only him and Xiao Tong in the living room. Xiao Tong goes to take her bath. When she returns from the bathroom, Lin Xui gets moved by her appearance. He finds her more attractive but quickly cautions himself. He heads to the bathroom to take his bath. He later discovers that he forgot to bring his underwear with him into the bathroom, so he ties a towel and tries to sneak to where it is. So, when Xiao Tong doesn't catch him, however, the towel mistakenly falls off, and Xiao Tong feels embarrassed seeing his nakedness. The next day, Lin Nexui takes Xiao Tong shopping, and on their way back, Xiao Tong sees a monk that looks like Wang Yang with a lady, just as Zhang Jinji described him, but they lose sight of him while they try to follow him. Xiao Tong sees the lady he was with, and they decide to ask her about him. She says that she can't find him too. He just disappeared. As they exited the mall, Lin Dasui calls Mr. Lu to help him find Wang Yang, but he says he doesn't have much influence in the provincial city and tells him he will speak with the White family instead to help out. The White family gives Lin Sui a condition that he has to protect someone on a trip to a certain place. Bai Mangdi is going on a trip to Jinling City and needs protection due to the recent occurrence with her elder sister. Ria is put in charge of her, but the second and fourth sons of the White family are quite skeptical about the supposed powerful person being sent from behind to protect her. Lin Sui arrives late and apologizes, but they are shocked that Mr. Lu sent a kid. They start to challenge him. However, Rai sees Lin Sui and quickly warns them not to mess with him as he is very dangerous. On the way to Jinling City, Lin Xui falls asleep in the car. Mandy feels disgusted and starts to doubt if he is a professional bodyguard, but reassures her that he is very strong. They head to a farmhouse to rest for the night and continue the journey the next morning. On getting to the farmhouse, Manji heads in first while Captain Hyu, the head of security, complains about Lin Sui's attitude to the bodyguard profession. They suddenly hear a noise from inside, and they quickly rush in to find out what happened. They discover that Manji got scared of a creepy-looking old woman and fell. Lin Nexri senses a ghost tie on seeing the old woman and discovers that she is a ghost. They all head upstairs. However, Lin Nixui lets her know that he is aware that she is a ghost and warns her not to attempt anything funny. Manji gets to her room and decides to go and take her bath. Meanwhile, someone spies on her as she undresses. What will happen to Manji? Will this event prove how capable Lin Sui is to her? Let us know in the comments section. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. See you guys in the next video.